Actividad simultánea número 2. Instrucciones. Interpreta. Opening statement. Prosecution.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Thank you for being patient during this somewhat lengthy jury selection process. Let me be direct and concise with these opening remarks, because the defendant in this case, Mrs. Marta Ortega, has already wasted enough of the time and money of the fine citizens of this county with her criminal deeds. As you know, Mrs. Ortega is charged with identity theft and criminal use of a financial card. Our first witness will be Mr. Daniel Moore, the head of security at the local Shop-A-Lot department store. Mr. Moore will testify that he was working on the afternoon of April 14th of this year, and that at 2:35 p.m., he observed the defendant, Mrs. Ortega, on the store's video monitoring system at one of the self-check stations. Mrs. Ortega glanced about several times before beginning her transactions. Mr. Moore will describe the training he has had with regards to identifying suspicious activity on the monitoring system, and he will explain that this action in and of itself caught his attention. You will hear Mr. Moore testify that Mrs. Ortega made a purchase of over $200, including three $50 gift cards. He will explain that the defendant continually glanced around as she made her purchases, then swiftly pocketed the card she used and exited the store. Mr. Moore was able to see her face clearly on the monitoring system, and you will see the recording of that very transaction. Mr. Moore was able to verify that the purchases were made using a debit card belonging to Mr. Willard O'Malley, who had reported the card as stolen. Mr. Moore will describe the protocol he followed to report the incident to the store manager and to local law enforcement. You will also hear the testimony of Ms. Angela Bowers, owner and manager of Bowers Family Grocery. Ms. Bowers will testify that Mrs. Ortega attempted to use the same debit card belonging to Mr. Willard O'Malley several hours later in her supermarket. Ms. Bowers, who has known Mr. O'Malley her entire life, refused to swipe the card. Ms. Bowers will tell you how Mrs. Ortega became belligerent and attempted to exit the store without paying for the foodstuffs in her shopping cart. She will explain how Mr. Gerald White, the store butcher, blocked Mrs. Ortega's escape until the police arrived. Finally, you will hear the testimony of Officer Daniel Braxton, who responded to the call at Bowers Family Grocery and made the subsequent arrest. He will tell you how he immediately recognized Mrs. Ortega from Mr. Moore's description and the still photos extracted from the Shop-A-Lot security recordings. He will also describe how a search of Mrs. Ortega's person revealed the gift cards previously purchased with the stolen debit card. Thus, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution will prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that Mrs. Marta Ortega committed identity theft and criminal use of a financial card when she stole Mr. O'Malley's debit card and used it to make purchases without his permission. I am certain that you will return a guilty verdict once you have seen the preponderance of evidence that the prosecution is prepared to present. Thank you.